Hello everybody and welcome to the Filmhouse Group Roundtable series. My name is Lolu Desalu, CMO Filmhouse Group, and these are the powerful, gorgeous and successful ladies that are running the operations and the strategy behind the wonderful things that you see from the group. The Filmhouse Group consists of the FilmOne Limited, FilmOne Studios, FilmOne Entertainment, Sandbox, and Filmhouse Cinemas. So this particular season is going to be based around International Women's Day, and the theme for that is Embrace Equity. So we'll get right into it. Lapo, as our CPO, Chief People Officer, how would you describe what equity means in the workplace?
Okay. Thanks, Lulu. When I think about equity in the workplace, I think about fairness, and I think about everyone being represented in the workplace, regardless of your gender, your race, your religion, and whatever equity means to different groups of people. I think that all those people really should be represented in the workplace. So I think for me, that is how I would class equity.
Okay. Thelma, what would you say the biggest challenges women face in the workplace in regards to equity?
I won't say there's only one challenge. I'll say there are lots of challenges, Lolu. One of the challenges will be directed to, for example, single women, right, where people feel they shouldn't earn a certain amount because they are not taking care of certain people. And also women, they don't need to aspire for certain roles in an organization. They feel like they shouldn't aspire for those roles and they are not fit for it because maybe they feel they'll close at a particular time or it's more masculine. So those are the kind of issues that women face every day.
Okay, thanks for that. So does anyone on this table have any personal experience of what Thelma just described, where you feel like you were, seconded, for instance, because you're a woman or because you're single, or because of something that wasn't quite the usual, maybe?
Okay, so in my experience, I once had a situation where, because of how driven and motivated I was, I had someone say to me, with all of your drive and your motivation, you end up in the kitchen. And I know I took it very personal, and it was not a fair statement to me because I was trying my best to be the best that I wanted to be, and just trying to add value and impact my environment, and someone that felt so threatened. Instead of just aligning with me and trying to see what's this person about, a guy just walked up to me and said, I don't understand why you're so driven, why you're so, at the end of the day you're going to end up in the kitchen. And I did give him a piece of my mind. I'm not going to end up in the kitchen. I'm going to have a chef, I'll be in the kitchen. I think for me, and I still remember it till today because it was a very unfair statement to make. I believe we've been put here with brains and with all the abilities that we have, not just to be relegated to certain roles. Not that we will not do such things, of course we will, but I am not the kitchen. I am much more than that. So,
So let me ask you a question. I know that women discuss, equity and some of the challenges that we face quite often. Do you think that men also face these challenges?
Definitely. So it's interesting to me because, and I think it's weird, because the field that we're in, and just by the sheer, if you hear a man does makeup, just as it is to a woman. And I had the most interesting conversation. So I hired a man on my set as makeup, and I had this, there was a word they called it, and it was so fancy that I don't even remember what it was. But they were saying, why am I giving jobs meant for women to men? And I didn't understand it. I was like, well, he's good at his job. But like, yeah, but you're reducing the opportunities for women. I'm like, I'm very positive. I am not. He's good at his job. It's not about gender. If somebody walks in and they can do the job. And yeah, so it was interesting to me to hear, especially going on like the Nigerian production, what suits a woman more and what suits a man more. It is what it is.
But you know what, this is actually a real discussion because, we celebrate Women's Day, International Women's Day, and it's such a big thing worldwide, right? The guys in the office make these sneaky comments, and at home as well. There's no International Women's Day, and all our days are so special and so glamorous and so big, and we're all just so united, right? But then for Men's Day, there's nothing. And they joke about it, but do you think it's a real thing, Ladun?
I think it's a real thing, but I don't think that because it's a real thing to men, then it means that this shouldn't be real to women. I don't think that we should not celebrate women, if that makes any sense. I think that, there's some statistics that say, like, when people talk about race, for instance, they say, oh, black people, but then there's also black women. So especially being African, and we have our own peculiarities at how the black woman is treated in certain regions, even in Nigeria, and internationally. So I think that is valid in terms of, especially with Mimi's point on makeup artists, that like, when you think of people that tie gillies as well, there are more men that are actually doing that. And ideally, you think that it should be a woman. But I don't think that it takes away from how we celebrate Women's Day, and I think that needs to continue. It needs to happen. We need to see that women can be in the kitchen if they so choose, or they can be CFOs.
Absolutely.
So
that CFO one is a real thing. So do you have anything to say to the men in regards to how they feel about not being celebrated? Maybe they should celebrate themselves.
Yes, but I think that, especially for the men that are encumbered with women, I think that with women, and if there's anything I can say for a woman, if you celebrate your woman, she will celebrate you. I don't know many women that they're either, even if it's just friends or husbands or sons, literally carry them as like, oh, this woman is special. I don't know many women that don't reciprocate that. So I think that instead of worrying about let us have this, let's have this. But then trust me, if you do it well, if other people are saying, no, it's not a serious thing, and you think, oh yeah, do you know what? I'm going to cook today to celebrate my woman. Watch what she'll do next week.
If I could also add to that, by the way, I always say this, when we're celebrating Mother's Day, International Women's Day, women are at the forefront of those celebrations. So I think that they need to take the power as well. And, speak louder, plan the celebrations, get as many people involved as possible. There's nobody that can shout out yourself as loud as you can. So you need to, just be part of the conversation. International Men's Day, 2 weeks before, have your plans ready, get the support that you need, and you will be celebrated.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up shortly, but I do want to ask a question in continuation to that. If they did that, do you think they are apprehensive because they think that women are going to react in a weird way? Let me tell you why. For instance, black people celebrate themselves. There's Black History Month and all of that. And Caucasian people always say, but if we had a month or if we had a channel, there would be uproar. Do you think that there's a fear that men feel that if they had this sort of thing every single year, there would be some sort of uproar from us?
I think there's a risk to it, but I think that's the reason why I said also ask for support. So you're doing International Men's Day, make sure that you're also getting some women involved, and just make it a thing. We're going to do women's together, we're going to do men's together as well.
I'd like to add to that actually. I think that a lot of men operate under the premise of it's a man's world. So I don't even think that they see this thing, and men are also used to women, as Nimi said and as Ladun said, taking the forefront, right? So if there isn't a woman there to plan it, it's not going to happen. Because they don't feel like a man literally walks into a room and doesn't even notice that he's the only man in there, right? But a woman will walk into a room where there are 10 men, and she'll be like, oh my God, I'm the only woman in there, because men just. It's a thing. It's a fact. It is a man's world, right? So they don't see it. So I think the uproar, yes, maybe, but if there was someone planning it, they'll just write the check.
The weird thing you just said about a woman walking and noticing that there are 10 men in there. Well, there are actually women that walk in and prefer. But they are not women.
It's a different conversation. We're definitely going to get into that very, very soon. Wow. But I want to ask one more question before we go. Nowhere. So there are young women that are trying to get into different industries, right? What is your advice for a woman who is just starting out her career, but really wants to work towards having a seat at the table?
I would say that, thank you so much for that question, Lulu. It's very targeted. I would say that, first of all, there has to be a lot of self-assurance. I think it's important to know thyself. Pardon my pidgin, know thyself, not because, right? So what you want as a woman, what are your goals, what are your dreams, what are your aspirations? have an actual roadmap. There are women who have been there before you. Find those women. And those women don't have to be unreachable. They are everywhere around you. They are in your church, they are in your schools, they are your counselors, they are your sisters, they are your friends. I have a friend. She's still my friend. She's still alive. She has no sister. No sister whatsoever. So she used to take advice from her sister's elder sisters. Do you know what I mean? Because she had no sisters.
Her friend's elder sister.
So she literally had no sister. She's the only girl. And then she had this other sister. And I remember that this friend used to wonder, why are you always spending so much time with my sister? But she didn't understand that I need guidance. I need mentorship. I'm going to use the feared word. The big M, mentorship. You need mentorship, right? And it's important that you're able to find mentors for your journey, your personal journey, your career journey, your spiritual journey, even mentors. I'm sorry, your marital. I was about to say that. I was literally about to say that. Even marital journeys, because there are people that you admire their marital life, and you feel like, okay, I can get some sort of advice. So for women, back to your question, who need some sort of guidance and don't want to get into the peak of their careers, I think it's important that they find mentors. They know thyself, and they are literally very unapologetic about who they are.
Thank you so much. That was actually quite profound. I want to end this episode by asking our CPO, how do we approach conversations about equity? Difficult conversations about equity in the workplace. For instance, if I've gotten to a certain level in my career and I feel like, you know what, it's time for me to really have this seat, or it's time for me to grow and do these things, and I feel like there is prejudice about my gender, or maybe even the fact that, she's married and she wants to have more kids, because there's also that. There are things that are linked to us being women. It's not just about you being a woman. You miss out on jobs because they think she hasn't finished giving birth. You know, how do we approach those type of conversations? If you think
she's pregnant, she will hire her.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Lolu. I think that the first step really is making it known, right? So you're sitting, you're at a certain level in your career. You're thinking, I want to actually move up, but it just seems like there's roadblocks everywhere. You know, you need to have that conversation. You need to have that conversation with, your head of human resources, with your CEO, or with whoever. Then it's also good to come to the table with data as well, and then work with, your head of human resources or whoever, work with me, for example, in my role, to discuss how we can begin to think about ways in which we can break the bias and basically begin to break those barriers. I know that now a lot of organizations are looking into becoming more diverse, so diversity and inclusion is a real thing. But unless we're actually having those conversations and actually helping the organization see that they maybe are not diverse, then that is the only way that we can begin to think of the ways that we can break those barriers and break those, and sometimes it may even just be a perception, right? And it may not even be real, right? But let's break those perceptions. So we need to talk about it. You need to make it known, and then there's a plan, and we can then begin to action some of those plans, and then look back, take the feedback, take the learnings, and see how we can adjust.
Thanks for that. Sounds really good. But I'm going to break that question down a little bit more, because we need to get a little bit more more real. So, for instance, Mr. Lagbaja, who is my boss, is clearly showing me that, look, this role that you have clearly qualified for, you're not really going to get it. Also, I think you're not going to get it because, you're about to have more babies. I can't trust that you're going to give it your all and you're going to put everything into it. Can I come to you as my CPO and say, this is exactly how I feel, and this is what this guy is doing to me? Or do I be diplomatic about it? What is the real best way to approach a situation like that?
Okay, so I think the best way is to come to me. I think that's always the best thing, right? So come to me, and then I'm assuming that you're coming with facts, right? So you're coming to say, look, I've been in this role maybe for 5 years. I was doing a promotion at year 2 and year 4. But I had a baby maybe 6 months before, and even though it wasn't said to me, I feel like that is the reason why I was passed up for promotion. So you give me 2 data points for reference, right? And you're going to also tell me how in your performance ratings you've achieved 85, you've achieved 90, whatever the cutoff is for promotion, you've done that, right? There's nobody else in the department, for example, that handles all of the work, the quantum of work that you handle, and is also delivering it. And you can also give instances of where he's giving you the feedback as to kind of the sort of brilliant work that you're doing. So I have all of that data, right? I will call Mr. Lagbaja to the table, right? And I'll have the conversation with him. It appears that there seems to be roadblocks. Are there any issues? You know, are you concerned about her commitment? Are you concerned about whether or not she's able to continue in this role? And if there are genuine concerns, which I imagine that it's like, look, I don't know if I can trust that she'll be here in 2 years because it looks like she keeps on having babies. Okay, what do we need to do? Do we need to build a strong second? You know, such that we can move her up into that position with no fear that the work in the department is going to drop, that the quality of work is going to drop. You know, what are the things that we need to do? Do we need to, you know, do you need to have a conversation with her and express your fears? And even just know what is on her mind. They may decide that they know what's happening, or they're stopping her to. You know, or maybe she feels that is not even a blocker for her at all. And maybe she actually has some modalities that she's put in place, you know, to ensure that she's actually able to really go far in her career. Let's have the conversation. But also, I think it would be important for me to point out to Mr. Lagbaja that, look, as an organization and a workplace of the future, diversity and inclusion is a thing. Everybody's going to have to get on that train, you know, whether or not we like it. And we need to start from inside. Like charity begins at home, right? We cannot hire somebody from outside and say, oh, you know, check it out, we're being diverse. You know, no, let's start from inside. Let's start giving our people what we want, and let's start showing that we're actually the workplace that we want to be, the workplace of the future.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So before we move on to the next series, just one last throwaway question for everybody. Do you think it's possible to achieve equity at home?
No.
Let's start with Eniola.
Equity or equality now?
Equity. Yeah.
I think you
Actual
can
equity.
achieve fairness in your home. Yes, I think it's possible. If you marry your true spouse, the person that really loves and supports you, you should be able to say, oh, okay, honey, I'm running late. Can you assist me? Because marriage is all about two imperfect people trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
And true. Both of you are committed to growing each other, because when you get there, you know, it will inspire me and encourage me to also get there. So you're both pulling each other up. So I believe in some marriages there is equity, where you can call your husband, oh, please, can you help me with the kids today? And help them with their homework. And so when you get home, they're not so stressed. So you're even more open and willing to go into the kitchen and do other things to assist. You're not disgruntled, because you don't feel like the weight of the whole world and all the tasks is on your shoulders. And go to work, you close late to get all the from people around you, and then you go home, and then your kids are all over you, and then even your in-laws are all over you, and you know, so having that support, and then you may have other support like domestic support, but there's some support that can only come from your spouse. And once that you have that support, the person is being fair to you. Say, okay, please, I have to do an extra hour of work, and the person is not giving you a lot of attitude or negative energy. Say, no, everything, just understand it's not all the time, and you to be fair to your partner to say, oh, I have to always put this person first.
Yeah.
Some marriages have it, and it's something
to
that's
strike
actually
a
possible.
balance.
Just strike the balance. Mutual respect will help any marriage achieve it. I think it's possible.
Totally agree.
Thank you for that. That's a wrap for series 1. We'll join you again for series 2, where we're going to be talking about work-life balance.
Yeah.